After I retired, people around me seemed to expect a slow, polite fading. Fewer plans, fewer conversations, fewer reasons to get up early, as if life were supposed to gently deteriorate the moment your working calendar disappears. I refused that script. I had seen what happens when a person becomes a spectator in their own days. Little by little, isolation starts to sap self-confidence. You stop trying new things because you assume you are too old, and then you become old in exactly the way you feared. You get stuck in a rut, and the rut becomes your identity. That is precisely why the University of the Third Age matters. It is not a hobby club for killing time. It is a serious answer to a serious problem, the mental and social shrinkage that can come with retirement. Learning gives structure to a week and purpose to a morning. It demands attention, memory, curiosity, and discipline, but in a friendly, humane way. And the benefits are not only intellectual. When you keep your brain active, you also tend to keep your body more active. You walk to lectures, you move through the city, you maintain routines, and you have a reason to take care of yourself. Staying mentally agile often nudges you towards staying physically agile too, because motivation is a whole-body thing. For me, it became far more than a pleasant routine. 5 years ago, I became a widower. I was devastated. The kind of grief that makes the air feel heavier, that turns everyday objects into traps. Her cup, her scarf, her chair. I did not simply feel sad. I had to mourn a life I thought was still unfolding. The worst part was the silence after condolences ended. People mean well, but they eventually return to their busy lives. And you are left alone with long evenings and a mind that keeps replaying what cannot be changed. In that period, I honestly felt myself starting to deteriorate, not just emotionally, but physically too. I slept badly, I ate carelessly, I stopped moving, and I began to believe my best years were behind me. A friend noticed, and he did something quietly heroic. He brought me around to the idea of enrolling. I resisted at first. Pride is ridiculous, especially in grief. I told myself, classes are for younger people, or I don't want to sit there looking lost. That was my fear talking, the fear that learning would expose weakness and further sap self-confidence. He kept insisting, not pushing, just patiently persuading me, until I finally agreed to try one course. That decision genuinely saved my life. It gave me a room full of living voices again. It gave me goals that were not related to loss. It reminded me that I could still build something. Knowledge, friendships, habits, a future week. The teachers treated us with respect, not with pity. The students, my peers, were bright, funny, sometimes stubborn, often inspiring. I started reading again with hunger. I became avid for history, psychology, even a bit of art. I would leave class thinking, this is a groove, because it felt like life had opened a door I assumed was closed. The University of the Third Age does something subtle but powerful. It restores momentum. It keeps you from being defined by what you no longer do. It proves you can still grow, adapt, and contribute. And when you are older, that proof is medicine. Not magical medicine, but real, practical support for mental health and, surprisingly, for physical health too. I joined a walking group after lectures, started paying attention to my posture and stamina, and I feel more agile now than I did at 70. So when people ask why educate seniors, I answer plainly, because we are still here. Because minds do not retire. Because learning keeps loneliness from winning. And because sometimes in the darkest seasons, a classroom can bring somebody around to living again.